Well, hello, friends. I am Jeff Miller from ERPA. Thank you for joining ERPA's Higher Education webinar to review the top features for the Workday 2025 Release 2 update that is fast approaching. Over 100 of you registered for our event today. Thank you so much. Welcome to all of you. ERPA supports customers throughout their entire life cycle on Workday. Our model benefits both existing and new Workday customers with implementation services, whether that's initial implementation or a phase X, later add-on, application support, integrations, warranties, and much, much more, with a team of named resources who are familiar with your tenant setup. But today is all about Workday's upcoming release, specifically for Workday Student. On the next slide, you're going to see what's now called the product statement. Used to be called the safe harbor statement. I'll let you read this on your own. Housekeeping matters while you're reading over this product statement. A few of you are continuing to join. Again, we have well over 100 of you who have registered for today's live event, and we welcome all of you. You will find yourself muted on our webinar platform, but we do have a team of experts prepared to engage with you in the chat. So if you look in the top right-hand corner of your GoToWebinar interface, you'll see a chat feature and a question feature. You can submit your questions. They'll come directly to us as organizers, and we will assign them to our team of experts that's working behind the scenes today during our live event. So please chime in with your questions, and we'll be happy to answer those throughout the course of our 1 hour together. After today's live event, you will receive an email with a quick 5-question survey. We'd love it if you take 45 seconds to give us your feedback. Now to our table of contents. Here are our Workday student areas that we're going to be reviewing today. And for those of you who might be interested in the functional cross-application and technical areas for Workday platform, we did host a separate webinar last week for nearly 600 of you. So if you missed that, today is all about Workday Student, but if you missed our platform webinar from last week, keep an eye on that chat feature at the top right-hand corner of your GoToWebinar interface, and I'm going to be posting a link into that chat in just a second. You can go back today and watch the recording from last week's platform webinar about Workday's upcoming release, and as well get access to our slide deck. Now we have a world-class team of Workday experts at ERPA, and we're the best in the business, and I've got many of them on the call today ready to present to you about all things Workday Student as it pertains to upcoming Workday release. So now I'm going to turn it over. Loki, would you join me on camera? Loki is the first of our team of experts presenting today. Welcome, Loki. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then feel free to take it away.
Thank you, Jeff. Hello, everyone. My name is Lokesh Madnava, and I'm a recruiting and admission consultant at ERPA. And I'm gonna kick off Workday Student Top Features 2025 R2 releases for student recruiting and admissions. Just a note that we don't have enough release updates for student recruiting and admission this time. However, we would go through few of them and see what impact they have put up for that module. So first one in few of them is educational institution course version, transfer credit rule, object transporter for recruiting and admissions, as well as for other modules. We will go in details with the educational institution course version. So Workday provides a feature with the ability to track changes in educational institution courses. Now it's easy to maintain historical record for education institution course catalog. Workday added a new effective date prompt on the Create Educational Institution Course task, as well as for Edit Educational Institution Course task, so that they can be defined course versioning in that. Now on Course Catalog Grid, you can view all the version of the courses in the new version history column. So you will be seeing multiple rows for your course catalog information which is being changed. So you'll be seeing all of them in one column itself. Workday also updates few of the report fields on educational institution course business object. So it's recommended to update the custom reports to use the new report fields on the educational institution course object instead of the old one. So if you have the previous report which is on the previous object, you might need to change them. So that is the impact which is going to happen. So I'm going to show it to you before and after view of educational course. So there is a screenshot which I have prepared. So here you will see the difference what it was before versus what it is now. So you see in the yellow mark checkbox, there is an effective dated field which has been added. This is the field which is actually creating versioning for educational institution course provide for versioning. So now what happens is, let's suppose earlier what happens is like you have created some course ID with the information of course unit, unit types, and other information. You need to edit the same information. What you can do now is with the effective dated logic, you can create a new row altogether with the new effective dated row. So whatever was there in the past versus what is there in the present versus what will be there in the future, all of them you can maintain it smoothly. Moving on to the next feature, transfer credit rules. So now Workday provides with the flexibility to accommodate external courses with the different unit types. This is another field which has been added to the task. So there is a new field which is unit type for minimum units. That field is being added on the transfer credit rule business object, which is again will be used in custom reports. So again, it's recommended to update the custom reports to use new unit type for minimum units report field. Workday updates the task called create transfer credit rule and edit transfer credit rule to display a new unit type field in minimum column of the grid. So we'll see that in the screenshot. So here you see in the yellow box where the unit type field for the minimum unit column in the grid is being shown, and with a minimum unit that more than zero, the value which is more than zero, Workday now display this unit type field in this grid for minimum unit field. Moving on to the third feature, which is actually very helpful, which I am using in my current project, and I'm very happy to see these changes. So there is now Workday enables you to migrate student admissions as well as financial student financial object to migrate through object transporter. Either you can migrate them individually or as a part of configuration package. Some of the objects are application decision region, response region, and then application grouping, student applicant type, and application GPA. There is a long list of the object items. I would like to tell you a few more objects which is associated to student financials, something like student charge item, student payment item, student sponsorship, sponsor contract, and waiver items. So these many changes are there, and there is a long list for the objects which you can migrate through object transporter. And that's all I have for recruiting and admission. We have very minor changes this time. However, it is good to know about them. Now I would like to hand over to my colleague Terry Green. She will talk about curriculum and advising. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Loki. I appreciate it. Good day. My name's Terry Green, and I am the Student Curriculum and Advising Consultant here at ERPA. And I'll be reviewing some of the top features in curriculum and advising for the R2 release of 2025. As you can see, we have many, many features that are being released for R2. We're going to go over just a couple of them today. And the first feature that we're going to go over is filtering courses by period with published course sections. So this first new feature I'll be highlighting Workday makes it easier to find courses with course sections offered within a specific academic period, providing the experience, improving the experience for both students and advisors. This feature is automatically available and provides a new academic period filter, which also allows the filter to be used to write custom reports on the course and course definition business object. So let's dive in and do a quick demo so you can see this feature. When a course is selected, Workday now displays 3 tabs: Overview, Published Sections, and Past Sections. You see on the left side of your screen, the Overview tab shows the typical periods for that course when that course is offered, along with other course information. On the next slide, you see the Published Sections and Past Sections. Under the Published Sections, you can see all the course sections that are published, and in this case, you can select from the 2025 fall and the 2026 fall to see the course sections that are published and available for registration. The last tab is the past sections, and it shows up to 3 years of past academic periods showing the available classes that were taught. This is an awesome feature. I think that both advisors and students are going to love this, and it gives them a quick view of what's available. The next feature we're going to discuss is the course prompt on academic plan, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the last one. This is kind of exciting for students and advisors as the academic plan now displays prompt categories to list courses that have a course section offered or have a typical offered section given in an academic period. This is automatically available to tenants that have the user interface and creating, editing, and approving academic plan features enabled. Let's see what this looks like. When a student or advisor edits the academic plan on a student's account, you see the student's information and the program of study on the left. In our demo, Ann Savage is an economics major with a 9/1/2023 declare date. You see that the academic requirement for art does not have a class associated with it. We all know that there, I'm sure, are a number of courses that would apply to this academic requirement. So let's see what happens when we click into the arts courses. Next slide, please. Then when you click into the courses, you now get 3 pull-down menus: currently offered courses, typically offered, and all courses. This gives students and advisors the ability to see what is being offered during the term that the student wants to take something in this category. This really allows students to plan for the courses that will be offered instead of selecting a course that might or might not be offered. As you can see under the currently offered, there are 2 this term. Typically offered, there are 5, but all, there are 6. So this gives the students and the advisors some discussion on when's the best time to take these courses. And the last feature I'd like to share with you today is one of my favorite, and it's the Academic Progress Troubleshooting Console. This is a dynamic way for advisors to quickly examine and understand how Workday is applying student course registrations towards their academic requirement. This update is automatically available to all users that have access to the domain. This new report, Academic Progress Troubleshooting Console, is a game changer for advisors. Now let's jump into the demo. Using the Academic Progress Troubleshooting Console report, the first thing you'll note is that you see is the last time that academic progress was evaluated. you might need to launch academic progress evaluation because what is shown on the console might differ from what is shown on the academic progress. Then you see 4 tabs: academic requirements, restricted requirement groups, registration processing order, and academic progressing limits. Next slide, please. The academic requirements for program of study is set up much like your academic progress tab of the student record. There are 4 distinct additions: eligible registrations, disqualified registrations, percent requirement, in progress and complete, and percent requirement complete. In this example, you can see under the diversity requirement at the bottom that there are 2 eligible registrations, but only one of them is satisfying the requirement, and literature 240 is being disqualified. Using the related actions on the disqualified registration, you're able to see the reason. Next slide, please. In this case, the reason is the registration exceeds the academic progress limit 8 units transfer credit. This is a big improvement to trying to dig around and look for why something isn't being applied. Next slide, please. When you click into the academic progress limits, you'll see that there are 2 limit rules. One is the transfer credit. This shows you that 8 units, and although there are many courses that meet the criteria, only 2 were used. Next slide, please. In another case, the disqualified registration reason is the registration is used by another requirement and can't be shared. Then if you click into the restricted requirement group tab, you see that the RRG that applies to this rule. I think everybody can agree this is a fantastic tool for our advisors. It gives them a quick way to try to determine what the issue is. Next slide, please. Under the registration processing order tab, you find a list of registrations listed in order that the academic progress evaluates them, as well as essential details about them. The last 2 columns, potential academic requirements and used in academic requirements, provide the advisor with a quick look at the potential academic requirements that the registration could be filling, and the last column shows how the registration is used to satisfy the academic requirement. If the advisor has security access for overrides, they can be done in the troubleshooting console also. There are so many awesome new features with this release, and I hope everybody gets in and really plays around with them. This concludes the curriculum and advising segment. If you have any questions, please post them in the chat, and we'll proceed with Alex Audette, Student Records, as the next presenter. Alex, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Terry. Hi, everyone. I am Alex Audette. I am a senior student consultant at ERPA for student records, as well as academic foundations, student core. But today we'll be focusing on our student records R2 release features. So the features here with the asterisks we'll be diving into in detail. So I'll just highlight the other features that we won't be going over today, but are still very important. We do have an update for eligibility rule types for course section reserved capacity. This now allows you to use combination rules and unit requirement rules for reserved capacity on course sections. We also have an update to the grade event business process notifications for both the mass lapse student grades event, as well as your final grading event, student course section grade event. You can now use condition rules in order to send notifications to specific groups of students based on those rules within these mass tasks. We also have some new historical student data report fields. So you can essentially now report on historical students the same as active students on their academic period records with some of these new report fields that they have released. We also have an update to student holds. Updating a student hold now comes with its own business process that is configurable, very similar to all of our other business processes in student records. And there are also some updates to view student schedules and how the student experience is within those saved schedules. So on to what we're diving into, a few very exciting feature releases for our registrar folks. Pretty simple, but also very exciting. So this first one, automatic refreshes for registration appointments. So this essentially allows you to schedule a job in order to refresh your academic appointments at a specific time interval or ad hoc. But to be able to set this up ahead of time and be proactive about when you're refreshing those academic appointments, those academic registration appointments for your student population. So the current process, you have to manually run the registration appointment task anytime you want to refresh a registration appointment. When a student either no longer meets an eligibility rule for an appointment or newly meets an eligibility rule for a registration appointment, the appointment within that academic period and that academic unit and level configuration needs to be refreshed. So considering if you have, say, 8 standard terms and non-standard terms within an upcoming period, you have combinations of academic units and levels or programs of study, would that multiply that maybe by 3, you're looking at a lot of manual work in preparation for registration. So now your updated process you're seeing on the right-hand side, you can schedule this to run ahead of time. So you can configure here, you have refresh criteria where you can say, select the unit and level combination or the program of study, and then the academic period. And then you can set this up ahead of time for each one of those to refresh on a specific schedule. The schedule options you can see on the right-hand side here. So these are essentially a set it and forget it situation that we have now, and it will save a ton of manual work, hopefully in the registrar's office, typically. So you can also view your refresh schedule. So especially if you're setting up a bunch of these for upcoming periods, you might look at this and you might have 8, 9, 10 refreshes scheduled for your institution. You'll want to check that and manage it. And you also have a process monitor, very similar to other jobs, scheduled jobs in Workday. All right, next exciting feature that we are going to highlight here is automatic future dated reporting record change. So these are for very importantly our multi-institution folks, but also any institutions where you may have a student with multiple academic records that are in progress at the same time. So as you may know, if this pertains to your school, you do need to manually manage the reporting record identification for students with multiple in-progress academic records at one time, depending on your policy and how that's set up to determine which reporting record at what given time is going to be identified. So now Workday has taken some of that manual work away by assuming when an expected completion date of a primary program of study of an academic record has passed, that means this is no longer your reporting record if the student has another active academic record option. So in this screenshot, you can see this particular student has multiple in-progress academic records. Right now, this computer science major, the expected completion date is in the future. You can see on that bottom screenshot there that currently the computer science major is the reporting record for this student. All right, now we are going to pretend that that expected completion date has passed, speeding up in time here. And you can now see that the computer science major for this student is in the past, so 9/1, couple days ago. What Workday did on its own is to swap the reporting record. So you can see that arrow going to just demonstrate that now the reporting record is the active English literature program on the other academic record. You can also see a nice feature here without having to dive into the reporting record information for the student. You can tell in this screenshot on the left side here that these academic records have flipped. So the academic record that is on the top, given if there are two active records, will be your reporting record. So you can tell Workday automatically flip those. Now, you will have other instances where you'll continue to need to manage reporting records and changing reporting record identification for other reasons. But this at least takes some manual work away from your management of that process. All right, last student records feature, very exciting, course repeat policy and academic statistics enhancements. So the course repeat policy now includes a brand new super fancy checkbox, and it is a mouthful. It's include repeated and replaced registrations for academic period statistics. So if you don't check this, Workday automatically excludes your units earned in GPA units for registrations that have been replaced. With this checkbox, you can override that at a policy level as opposed to manually overriding the academic statistics for individual students. So here you can see the course repeat rule set. You can see in the green box here, that is that mouthful checkbox there. What we've done is in this example, we've checked the box. You see the yes there. Now I've given a screenshot to some repeat help text for a student in their academic history where this particular registration, Econ 102, has been replaced by a newer instance of the student taking that course. However, you can see in yellow, it's replaced, but it is included in the cumulative GPA there. With this update, it also comes along with some additional grade category types that are brand new that relate to this process. So the first one is deprioritize repeat processing. So this can be used when transfer credit is not intended to be counted to replace an internal attempt. As an example, if you have a transfer credit grading scheme, this is going to work wonderfully for you if that is your policy. We also have exclude from academic period totals or exclude from cumulative totals. So at the grading scheme level, you can make this determination to work in conjunction with your repeat policy. So if the grade is included in the GPA, it also removes the GPA units. If the grade earns credit, it removes the credits earned if you are using this exclusion grade category. So if you have a registration that you only want to include in your academic period statistics or your cumulative statistics, or excluding them from both, you have a lot of options here when you're setting up that grading scheme. You can also hide repeat registration notes. So this can just make sure that there isn't any confusion. You can have that ability to determine who sees those notes and who does not see those notes. All right, and that's it for my student records exciting updates. So I'm going to pass it to Sharon Gann for student financial aid updates. Thanks.
Hey, Sharon, you're muted. Could you come off of mute? Because we want to hear all the lovely words you're about to say.
Thank you. Hello,
Uh-huh.
everyone. My name's Sharon Gann, and I'm a student financial aid consultant with ERPA. This release has several excellent enhancements for financial aid, and I'm excited to share them with you today. These features are going to help with streamlining administrative tasks, ensuring compliance, and improving the student experience. So this slide here shows the 6 key updates with this release. We've got streamlining alternative loan management, work study payroll reallocation, return of Title IV reporting, and of course the new institutional student information record layout for 26-27, the ISER. There are also new report fields for master promissory note certifications and some great updates to Object Transporter for financial aid. Loki mentioned Object Transporter earlier. Financial aid's got some good new stuff coming out there too. I'm going to take a little extra time to discuss 3 of these items in more detail, and that I think will have the most impact, immediate impact for you and your teams. So first, let's look at streamlining alternative loan management. So what this is, it's a set of improvements that are designed to make managing alternative loans more accurate and efficient. The key features for it are that a new lender canceled loan status is being introduced for loans that are imported with a status of terminated or denied. Also now, loan period start and end dates, as well as the grade level codes, will now auto-populate, and that reduces manual entry for you when you certify. There are also dynamic required fields for pre and post disbursement changes, and that's going to be based on the data that you enter. And probably the best thing too is there are immediate changes to a student's total financial assistance tab when you submit your alternative loan changes. You don't have to wait for the lender response file anymore, so you can immediately see the impact of those changes on your student's aid. So these updates are going to improve your experience with the alt loan management systems, as they'll be reducing our data entry errors and lender inquiries. That gives us higher quality data for our certified loans. And they'll be eliminating manual corrections and providing faster loan processing for us. So on the next slide, you can see the new statuses that come in as you're receiving your loan rosters, and you can see the status of lender canceled. So loans will still be there, but you won't be able to take any action on them. And then these fields here for the loan period start and end dates. As you enter this information, and they'll just be auto-populating for you, the manual processes go away. So our next slide is the work study, the payroll accounting reallocation, and let's talk work study. So there's a new internal job called payroll accounting reallocation, and that reprocesses and recreates a work study payroll accounting for the design cost allocations. And here's how it's going to work. After you run the complete pay accounting reallocation task, the system automatically updates the payroll accounting entries tied to work study. The work study amount, earning paid, and the amount remaining filled on each journal line now reflect the recalculated earnings for that student worker. And so this enhancement is great. It's going to be ensuring that the work study payroll accounting always reflects the correct distribution of costs. It provides accurate, real-time tracking of student work study earnings, and this will help us greatly for budgeting, reporting, and reconciliations. So on this slide here is just a quick look, a view of the financial aid reporting side of things. So as we keep track of earnings and remaining award amounts, we'll have the most updated and accurate information. And moving on to our return of Title IV features. So here's what this is. A new overridden academic period with breaks report field has been added to our Return of Title IV worksheet business object. How it works is this field's going to show any overridden academic periods and giving you greater visibility on which periods that may have overrides, and then reducing potential errors in reporting. Now, while this field is automatically available, of course, you need to update some existing reports that may be required so that you can use it in your filters and your output. If you don't include the new field, you're not going to see the overridden periods with scheduled breaks, and that could potentially cause you some errors. And you can see here in this slide the new field and the description for it. So just to recap, this release is going to bring us a nice range of improvements for financial aid, and specifically with the three that I've just spotlighted. We'll have more accurate work study payroll reallocations, smarter alternative loan management, and we'll have greater transparency in return of Title IV worksheets. All of these will be helpful as we move forward into next year's aid processing. And that concludes the financial aid update. So now I'm going to pass this off to Jonathan for student finance. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sharon. Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Cedeno. I am a student financials consultant here at ERPA. I will be featuring the Workday Student Financials top features from the 25 R2 release. As you see here, there's several items that really stand out for student financials. Just a note that while we walk through these top feature updates for student financials, I'll be highlighting just a few of those features. However, we do see that we have the usual 1090-AT tax reporting for the upcoming year, or for the upcoming reporting year. And as well, we see some web service items there and object transporter, which was already highlighted. However, our first and number one student financials feature is related to real-time student accounts. As we see on the next slide here, this update is highly anticipated. And with all the time spent in student financials, I'm sure that we're all excited for this functionality. Workday now delivers enhanced configuration options for real-time student accounts. Yes, whether you're a student, an administrator, or you're a third party, such as a parent perhaps making a payment for a student, this is real-time data. Any student financial reaction triggers are an immediate update to student charges, student waiver payments, account balances, and or hold removals. Now, prior to this update, this is only processed during nightly orchestration, that job run, or perhaps maybe the manual task of run student financial processes, or more recently, that refresh button definitely helped quite a bit, but if we remember to use it. Now, with this update, there'll be less confusion from the user perspective, less discrepancies, less outdated data. This will allow administrators and students to take immediate and accurate steps when reviewing a student's account. Now, to make this happen, administrators simply need to enable this feature using the Maintain Student Financials task. Let's take a look at the next slide. Let's see how this looks from the user perspective. Now, if we look at it here, this is a simple task that we really go to. Often, as was mentioned earlier, kind of set it and forget it kind of a task. Most don't go there often, but as we see here, an administrator can simply just opt in for real-time accounts. Of course, there are some exceptions. Workday postpones real-time assessment during peak registration window. And once any charge activity happens after the peak registration window, then the real-time assessment will resume. From this same maintain institutional student financials option configuration, it could be set for the refresh account button to be displayed during peak registration. In addition, there may be a delay in some real-time assessment if certain jobs are running in advance. Let's say student payment auto application, maybe the build for student financial period records, or assigned student charges via SFPR, the student financial period record, as well as holds, soft drop, or aging group removal. Now, once completed, the real-time assessment will proceed. Now, this feature can also be disabled if you need to, simply by selecting none of the above. But as usual, test, 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 please, in your sandbox environments before touching production. Now, moving on to our second highlighted student financials feature, we want to take a look at operational journal generation, consolidation, and aggregation. Now, with this release feature, Workday delivers the ability to group transactions and aggregate student receivable journal lines created by the same charges job under a single journal. This enables you to effectively aggregate data when maintaining accuracy and consistency in your financial records, thus improving the performance of the operational journal. Now, to make this happen, administrators simply need to enable this feature using the Edit Tenant Setup Student task. Let's take a look at that. Again, because this is often a set it and forget it task, but it's so simple, the configuration here, just checking that simple box. And when you enable grouping student transaction journal lines, Workday groups charges with the same student and academic period, and then the assigned charges via SFPR job run and the same company. You'll be able to create student charge transaction groups for assess charges, cancel charges, charge adjustments, refund recovery, write-offs. So basically all those journal lines kind of get wrapped into one group. As well, pending charges, once processed via the assigned charges from the SFPR job, become assessed charges, and Workday groups them accordingly. Workday also groups previously pending charges separately from other assessed charges. Workday creates a single journal entry by company for each student charge transaction group. In addition, Workday now posts an adjustment journal when a charge is canceled. Workday will post each cancellation adjustment in its own student charge transaction group. You'll be able to view the journal tasks from the student charge transaction group. And if you turn the group student transaction journal lines functionality on and then off from the same screen here, Workday now displays a warning message for you. Just let you know that you may need to make some manual adjustments or journal entries. If you do nothing at all, this won't affect your current configuration. The current accounting methods will remain as they have been. Now, there's some more tidbits to this feature, which you can review on community, but there'll have to probably be some collaboration with your financials team, with the FINS folks at your institution. And again, test, 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 and sandbox first. And lastly, it may be a small, impactful feature, but mass apply student charges can be tremendous for your institution. Workday now enables you to mass apply student charges for perhaps late fees, late registration fees, ad fees, drop fees. Now, this has the potential to save hours of time and work for you just by automating some charges. Now, this can be done within the Mass Operation Management functionality, or often known as MOM, which you now have the ability to apply student charges with. This allows you to mass apply administrative fees to students based on a criteria from our custom report. On our next slide, we can show you how that can happen. Now, maybe you are accustomed to using this task. There hasn't been much functionality in the past for student financials, but you would need to create a segmented base security group with access to mass apply student chargement segments. Once security has been provided, the administrator would access the mass operation management task, where you select the mass operation type of apply student charges. In the input report field, you can select a predetermined and custom report to identify what you need to do with these charges, who they need to be applied to, as well as run frequency. Just some things to keep in mind is remember that apply student charge mass operation does have a limit of up to only 50,000 instances per run. And if you future schedule mass operation and a selected charge items become inactivated before runtime, that it won't apply the charges there. It also won't apply charges if the student's not matriculated for the selected academic unit, or if the academic period is invalid for the student. Now, if you do nothing, you can continue to apply charges as you have been. So these are just some really impactful highlights from student financials with 25R2. Now we'll be handing off to our director, Caroline.
Thanks, Jonathan. Hi, everybody. My name is Caroline Weir. I'm the Workday Student Director here at ERPA. I've been in the Workday student ecosystem since 2016, and I'm delighted to share with you some cross-application services. So these cross-application services aren't necessarily just for the student product, but we're bringing them to you today because they have a direct impact on your student team users. And I picked two in particular. As Jeff mentioned earlier, we did do a platform webinar recently, and that may cover other cross-application features such as security hubs. But these are the two that I picked out to share with our student users. So let's go into the first one, which is our global navigation sidebar. This is really a way of organizing all of your favorite kind of top apps, your top tasks, your top reports. It's really turning that navigation from everything in your main login page, your main home page, to actually a sidebar where you can organize things. You can control what is in there. It's the same as before, where you have required apps or your favorite apps, and it just cleans up your screen. It allows that global navigation sidebar to be available no matter what task you're doing, so that you don't lose that navigation as soon as you navigate away from the home screen. There is an opt-in for it. It's a really simple one. It's an edit tenant setup system. There's a global navigation menu sidebar opt-in checkbox you can check, and once it's on, it's on. We feel, aside from usability for your users being able to quickly access their favorite tasks and whatnot, we think that this biggest impact is obviously on your training materials, because the look and the feel of your homepage and your other pages may now feel a little bit different. So let's go into the next slide and we'll show you what your homepage looks like right now. This is our ERPA AMS tenant. Because we care very deeply about student things here, I've highlighted down in the bottom right-hand corner the your top apps. So I'm logged in, I'm proxied in here as a student, and I'm seeing as a student the Academics Hub and the Financials Hub here on my homepage. Now, as soon as I navigate away from this page in the old setup, I'm going to lose access to those top hubs, and I'm going to have to go up to my menu, and I'm going to have to find them again. But let's look at the next screen where we see what that global navigation sidebar looks like. And here we have on the left-hand side, constantly pinned, is this sidebar. You can see, because I'm proxied in as a student, the things that I'm seeing are the Student Academics Hub and Financials Hub, and I just hover over that to get to those, and hey presto, I've got that navigation constantly available to me, which is, I think, a really great experience, especially for students. So that's our global navigation sidebar. The next feature I would like to share with you is probably my favorite across all of the features that came out in Workday. This release, this is a new student configuration hub. I've been on many implementation projects, and you know that every year after we leave you, after you're live, you have this annual cycle of things that you have to configure. Sometimes you're doing it every academic period. And some of those tasks, because you're doing them primarily on an annual basis, are not familiar to you. You maybe don't remember what the name is. You don't always remember all of the tasks that you need to do. So, your implementation partner, and certainly I do, we'd write you up a nice documentation saying these are all the things that you have to do every year. Well, now Workday makes that a little bit simpler with having this student configuration hub. So all of the student areas are included in this. So it is a centralized location for all of those tasks which you need to configure on an annual or academic period by period basis. It is automatically available to you. I turned on in our tenant, and I'm going to show you a picture here in a second. I turned on for the global navigation menu, so that other feature that we just covered, the global navigation sidebar, now also has this student hub configuration hub available to you. So let's go into the next screen and let's have a look at it. This is from the global navigation sidebar. Again, I added it, so now I have a configuration option. I'm logged in as myself here into this tenant. I'm no longer a student. And I can see that I have a few things, including learning management, but I've now got this configuration option for Student Configuration Hub. If we go into the next screen, let's see what it looks like. So under, on the left-hand side, you'll see all of the Student Hub configuration areas. So nicely, it does split up academic advising and curriculum from student records, but in the academic advising world, we now have tasks around advising management, academic requirement management, transfer credit management. Under curriculum, we have things like curriculum management and course attributes. Financial aid, we have cost of attendance options, financial aid configurations such as award items and your packaging strategies. They separated calendar into its new one, so that's great. So academic calendar is under the calendar management. And then in prospective students, we've got access to be able to configure applications and student sites. Student financials is the one that you see here. So this centers around charge aggregate rules, anything to do with charges, anything to do with course fees, registration-based fees, your charge assessment schedules, and waivers and payments. So not everything is showing here. It's just a very brief screenshot. So I encourage you to all go and play with your Student Configuration Hub, and hopefully that makes your annual maintenance as you roll over from one year to the next a little bit simpler. And that is all I have on the cross application item. So I would love to pass it back to our fearless leader, Jeff.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Caroline. Hey, Jonathan, you have been assigned a question. If you take a look at the top right corner of your interface and see if you can get to that answer while I'm giving everybody some commercials and some housekeeping matters. First of all, let me direct everybody's attention to the webinar chat. You're going to find a few links there that are really important. The first one is a link to our registration page for last week's platform webinar. This covers all of the upcoming release features related to HCM, finance, integrations, cross-application, functional technical areas. So please, if you haven't received enough information about the upcoming release webinar, today was all about student, but we did host a webinar last week with nearly 600 people who registered for that webinar, and it's all about platform features that are coming out. So it's a full 1 hour packed webinar for your information. And that link is in the chat feature in the top right-hand corner of your interface. Also, if you are attending Workday Rising, there are 2 links in the chat for you. First of all, ERPA is hosting the best ever party at Workday Rising. For those of you who will physically be in San Francisco, we already have 400 people registered for our dedicated speakeasy prohibition era party. 2 bars, hidden passages and hallways and closets, and a dance floor and a DJ. We have a casino, a full working casino. This is going to be the best party ever. We have 400 people registered already. If you're going to be there in person, we'd love for you to register and join us. That registration link you will also find in the chat feature. And then finally, if you're going to be at Rising in person and you have a physical pass, or if you have a digital pass, we have a speaker session that we're hosting related to the private to public cloud tenant migration that's coming up for everybody eventually. We already have 300 people registered for that speaker session, and we'd love for you to join us there. And that link is also in the chat. There is a higher education summit on the Monday of Rising. Now, if you happen to be coming a little bit early for Rising and you're going to be at that all-day higher education summit at the Marriott Marquis in San Francisco, just ahead of Rising, ERPA will be there also, and we would love to see you there. Now, lots of you have asked along the way in the question feature, and yes, before the end of this week, all of you will receive an email with links to the webinar slide deck and the recording of this live event. So look for that to hit your inbox. But in just a few minutes, all of you will also get a quick email survey that'll hit your inbox. Take you about 45 seconds, and we'd love for you to answer those questions. This is the Q&A section, but I look like we have answered every single question. If you want to go ahead to the final slide, and that's just how to get in touch with us. If you'd like to reach out to us, we'd love for you to follow us on LinkedIn and get in touch with us. I want to thank our experts and their teams today for the work that you put in to this material. Great job presenting on all of these upcoming release features that pertain particularly to the student module. Thank you, all of you who joined us today, for engaging us with your questions. You sent in probably a dozen, maybe 15 questions, and it looks like our team of experts behind the scenes have been able to answer all of them. But let's consider this the beginning of the conversation. Let's keep the conversation going, both virtually as well as in person if we see you at Rising. Again, I think we've been able to answer all the questions, but here's a way you can get in touch with us, a number of ways you can get in touch with us on the slide in front of you. For now, thank you for joining our webinar to review these top features. If you are attending Workday Rising, we look forward to seeing you in person in just a few short days. Until then, thank you for joining us today. We hope that you have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.